Hi, all. My name is Faith. I am one of the Black Youth Support Line workers here at REST. Right now, I'm going to be presenting a workshop called Finding a Home 101. So, these are things to keep in mind when you are looking for a new place to rent within Peel. Our target audience is young Black youth who are homeless or at risk of homelessness. So, if this is something you feel that would be helpful for you, just stay tuned. So, on today's agenda, we have things to consider before you search, budgeting, types of rental properties available, platforms available to look for housing, things your landlord cannot refuse you for, and how can rest centers help you. And then at the end, if you have any questions, feel free to let us know and we'll be sure to answer them. So, things to consider before you search. First thing I would say is you need to look at affordability. How much can you afford each month and still have money left over for your bills, phone bill, transportation, insurance, internet connection, personal hygiene, food, entertainment, anything that you would like to pay for on a monthly basis? How much can you afford rent? For example, for me, say I get paid $2,000 a month. I am not going to now go look for a condo that has rent of 1,600 because that only gives me $400 to work with. So for my phone bill, transportation, insurance, internet connection, personal hygiene, and then anything else I would spend expenses for, that's only $400 wiggle room. So you have to try to be more mindful about what you can afford. I personally think the lower the rent, the better, even if you can afford a higher rent, as long as you're living somewhere safe and that you feel comfortable and clean. I would recommend going with the cheaper option just so you could save that money to pay for other things, or even just save it to maybe eventually get a different place in the future. So affordability is a huge thing to consider before searching. The next thing is location. So how close do you want to be to certain things? So the most important things may be like work, school, family, friends, also like grocery stores, convenience stores. What is in that area? How close is it? And how accessible is it to things that you need? Another thing is parking and public transportation. Are you trying to live at a place where there's no parking? If you have no car, that's fine. But if you did have a car, you would have to figure out where you're going to park your car. If you take public transportation, you would want to keep in mind that, hey, I would need to catch a bus. Is the bus route accessible from where I am living? Other things to consider before you start searching is your surroundings. Do you want to be in the center of activity, like say Mississauga? Do you want to live by Square One? Or are you looking to live in more of a quiet neighborhood where you kind of just do your own thing? So you kind of have to consider what you want to be around. If you're looking for more of a city life, if you're looking for somewhere you can just walk to restaurants, meet up with your friends at pubs, or are you looking for something where you may have to travel a bit further? Also, availability. Is the situation urgent? So, like, are you living in a situation where you have to leave now? Like, are you in a shelter? Are you in somewhere that's not safe? Or is it that you just want to move out because you want to be on your own? So, you have to keep in mind what your reasons are for moving out and give yourself a timeline of how long you have until you can leave. Some rental properties are harder to find during certain months of the year. So, can you wait to move for a few months to get the actual property that you desire? Mid-September through April are usually the months with the most available properties. Also, safety is a big option, right? So, are there a lot of break ins in that neighborhood? Do you feel comfortable walking alone in that neighborhood? And a lot of neighborhoods you won't. So, you just have to think like, for me personally, is this something that I desire? Do I desire like walking alone at night? Or is this something that's alarming to me? Or is it something where I only leave during the day? So, again, it all depends on your lifestyle and your preference, but safety is a huge issue. So these are ways to check for neighborhood safety. So you can look at the neighborhood's walkability score. So most neighborhoods will have like a score. I'm pretty sure the scale is 1 to 10, don't quote me, but it's going to have a score of how safe it is and how accessible it is in that neighborhood to walk around and go places on foot. So, neighborhood walkability is a measure of how well a neighborhood promotes activity. Sorry, how well a neighborhood promotes active forms of transportation, such as walking. A highly walkable neighborhood has a variety of destinations within walking distance, well connected streets, and a mix of land use. Peel Police also have crime statistics and maps on their website. So there's going to be links to this website right here, actually, where you can look on this website and see crime statistics in that neighborhood you desire to move to. Peel Region also has neighborhood information tool. This kind of shows you what's going on in the neighborhood. Are there community centers? Are there schools? This and that. So you can also check out that. Now we're going to talk about creating a budget. So when you are moving out, guys, one thing you need to do is make sure you have a budget. So as I was saying earlier, affordability is a huge thing for moving out on your own. So you have to have a budget of each month. This is what I'm spending, or this is what I can afford to spend at least. Just so each month you do stay within your budget and you have enough money to pay your rent, because you don't want to be in a situation where you cannot pay rent and now you have nowhere to stay. So your income versus your rent and expenses is how you are going to create this budget. So how much are your monthly bills? So your phone bill, transportation, insurance, whatever other bills you have. How much do you spend on food? So for example, if you go to the grocery store, are you buying like the cheaper options, or are you buying whatever your heart's desire? Do you go out to eat a lot? Do you order Uber Eats a lot? I know that's my thing. I like to order Uber Eats. So I got to budget that to understand that if I order Uber Eats 20 times a month, I can't pay my rent. If I order it maybe 5 times, I could still get by. So you have to put that into consideration. Also, entertainment. When you are young, you want to enjoy your life, right? Like, I know it's COVID, we don't really have anywhere to go, but still you have to take in consideration, am I someone who likes to go out on weekends? Am I someone who likes to go out with my friends? Or even like things like shopping or online shopping, am I someone who likes to spend a lot of money on things that make me feel happy? Or am I someone who's more into like saving and spending on the bare necessities? Then you have to also, a big thing is, if you lost your income today, do you have an emergency fund? How would you pay your rent if you lose your income today? This is a huge issue because with COVID, a lot of people are losing their jobs. A lot of employment is being lost. A lot of employment is very like, kind of iffy. You don't know if you'll have a job tomorrow, the next week. So make sure that you do consider an emergency fund. With this emergency fund, if you didn't have a job for 2 months, 3 months, would you be able to pay your rent? Maybe 3 months is a bit much. However, I'd say at least have 1 month's rent paid. At least have 1 month's rent saved. So if you have at least 1 month's rent saved, then for that month, you can kind of calm down and it doesn't have to be like a huge scramble, if you know what I mean. So if you'd like some more information on budgeting, we are hosting a financial literacy workshop. This one should be reposted. I think we will probably redo it and it would be posted on our YouTube page eventually. I'm not sure of the exact date, but we will have some information for you on financial literacy and budgeting. Now we're going to go over the common types of rental properties. I'm sure most of us are familiar with what type of rental properties are out there, but if you are new to Canada or even just new to the area, you might need some clarification. So I am here to help you with that. Especially if this is your first time moving out, you might actually not know. You might just be used to being in your own room. So we're going to start with apartments and condos. So apartments vary from walk-up units in low-rise buildings to units located in buildings with elevator access. So you can be in a building where there might be 1 or 2 floors. You can be in a building where there's 50 or 60 floors. So the pros of living in an apartment or a condo are there's secured access. So usually you will need like a key or a fob to get in, and no maintenance of external grounds. So that means you don't have to be like mowing the grass and shoveling snow and all that for the most part, because you do live in a condo or an apartment, and they will usually have people in charge of the property to do that. There's and guys, I can't say this word. Anemones. Yes. Okay, I got it. There's anemones. So with anemones, am I saying it right? Amenities. Amenities. Okay. So there's amenities. So these can vary from a single onset washer and dryer. So in your unit, you may have access to that, or you can have a full laundry room downstairs. There might be common rooms, party rooms, fitness centers, pools, facilities. So there might be all that in your building. It does depend on the building you do choose to move to, how new it is, how upkept it is, and really just what amenities they provide. I got it there, amenities. Some cons of living in an apartment is affordability. So in Peel, apartments and condos are pretty expensive. So in Peel, on average, a one-bedroom apartment can range anywhere from $1,400 to $2,500 just for a one-bedroom apartment. And these apartments are small, eh? Like now, if you move into a new build, like a newer condo, the apartments are pretty small. If you get an older apartment, you will have some space, but the newer ones are pretty small. Um, Less space depending on the building, and then possible complaints from neighbors due to noise, scents, etc. So living in a condo or an apartment, you do have to take into consideration that you are in close proximity to people, right? So they may be able to hear what you're doing. They may be able to smell like your food cooking or any other scents that may come from your unit. They would probably be able to smell it in the hallway or even next door or upstairs due to the vents. So just take into account that, like if you're someone who likes to have complete freedom, you don't want anyone complaining about anything, an apartment or a condo might not be the best option for you. So next we have a house or a townhouse. So house rentals include townhouses, duplexes, semi-detached, and single detached homes. So house rentals provide more space than most apartments. So that's the first pro. So with a house, you would have a little more space usually. Again, it does depend on the house and the type of house you live in, right? Um, they usually provide the advantage of having access to some outdoor space. So maybe you'll have access to the backyard, maybe a front yard, maybe a porch. But again, that does depend on your household rental agreement. So if you are renting from your landlord and they still live in the house, and maybe you're just renting a room or you're renting the basement, they may, for whatever reason, say, hey, backyard's only for me and my family, or the backyard is only for these renters. So make sure you clarify that with the people you're renting from, but usually you'd have access to some sort of outdoor space. They may be more affordable depending on the amount of people sharing the house. So that's the plus about houses. A lot of them like have a few more rooms than a condo. So you might be able to rent like one room in a house for say like 800 because you're sharing it with four other people rather than renting a 2-bedroom condo and having to pay like 1,500 by yourself. You know what I mean? So it can possibly be more affordable depending on the house and the location. Some of the cons of renting in a house or living in a house, you may have to share the common areas with multiple people. So again, the more people in the house, the more people sharing common areas. So you might be sharing the kitchen with 2, 3, 4 other people. You might be sharing washrooms, living rooms. Depends on your arrangement. Again, there's less security than an apartment or condo because really um, there's no like concierge or like security sitting at the front door. It's literally you are your own security. You just have to make sure you lock your door. And usually no access to amenities in a detached house. But again, it depends the house. Like you might luck out, but usually there wouldn't be any amenities. But there would usually be washer and dryer in the house. But if there's not, the landlord would clearly state that. At least they should. Next, we're going to have basement apartment. So basement apartment, why my slide not working? 1 second. Okay. Wait, sorry. We're having an issue presenting the basement apartment part. Whoever's editing this, if you could just remove that part That would be perfect. Okay, so next we have shared accommodations. So shared accommodations is literally, like I was saying, if you are in a house, you probably most likely, if you're young and you are looking for housing, you most likely aren't going to rent a full house by yourself. So you're most likely going to be in shared accommodations. So this could be a room in an apartment, a room in a house, or any other type of accommodation where there is where that one space is rented to one person. So right now I live in a shared accommodation. I live in a condo, and then my room is rented to me, and then I have a roommate. You can also do shared accommodations where maybe you will rent a basement apartment. So you might have a full family living upstairs, or like other people renting upstairs, and then you might have the basement to yourself, or you might be sharing the basement apartment with 2 or 3 other people. So shared accommodations is just pretty much when you are sharing the whole unit as a whole with other people, but you have your own designated space, usually your bedroom. So the tenants usually share kitchen, bathroom, living room with other tenants. Furniture is sometimes included, especially if you do rent like a house. Usually, it depends, right? But usually they do sometimes offer you like a bed and a dresser. Sometimes they may just offer you a completely empty room. So that's also something to take into account when you are renting. Do you want to rent a room that's already furnished, or do you want to rent a room that has no furniture? So that's also something you got to make sure you ask your landlord. Other tenants may be youth, other tenants may be a family, they may be students, they may be working professionals. So that's also something to take account. If you are moving into an apartment as like a young person, do you feel comfortable living with somebody who's in a completely different stage of life as you? So that's also something to consider. So I know for me, when I was moving, I my goal was I wanted to live with like people who are in the same stage of life as me, or at least similar stage. So like working, young, so like we could get along on the same topics. Um, Personally, I didn't feel comfortable living with like people who are a lot older than me. So that's something to take into account. Okay, now we're going to look at where you can find a place to rent. So if you're looking at this, we have some different social media apps, which are great for finding a place to rent. So you can look on Facebook. Facebook is actually where I found my first roommate. So there's different Facebook groups. You could look on Facebook Marketplace, which is a great place. I know there's like Mississauga Peel Rent, there's Brampton Buy or Rent. There's a lot of different groups on Facebook where people do post houses, homes, apartments, rooms that they're renting out. So you can definitely look on there. If you're a student, there's also different student groups. So I know like UTM, they have UTM off campus housing where you can find roommates and rooms to rent. Instagram, you can also look for, I haven't had much luck on Instagram, but I do sometimes see people posting like, hey, looking for a roommate, or hey, renting out my room. So you can take into account that. There's Zumper, which is a great app that you can use where you can literally put in your budget, put in the location you're looking for, and it will show you everything that's being put out to rent in that area. There's Airbnb. Airbnb is usually more for short-term stays. However, sometimes you can work something out with the host and see if you could stay for more months at a time. However, Airbnb does get expensive because they are used to charging like a daily charge or a daily fee. Of Airbnbs often have like cleaning fees and things like that. So just take into account, if you did need something right away, Airbnb would be a good bet. However, it is going to be more expensive. Kijiji is a hit or miss. I found my other roommate on Kijiji. With Kijiji, you do have to really screen the people because Kijiji is really random, right? Facebook, you can, I feel like with Facebook, you can kind of like finesse your way into looking at people's profiles and stuff. Kijiji, very random, usually no pictures. With Kijiji, if you do look for a roommate or a room on there, I would definitely recommend calling the people, speaking on the phone, doing a video call, especially because we're in COVID right now. It might be harder for you to like actually go into people's homes to see, but doing a video call to see the unit beforehand. Also, if you are going to see a unit, take somebody with you, a friend, a family member, just anyone who can go with you, just so you have someone to accompany you. There's also the old fashioned way of newspapers. I have not looked at a newspaper in years, so I have no idea if people even post rental ads in there anymore, but I do know back in the day that was a thing. So you can always look in the newspaper. So where to find a place to rent? So like I was saying, Facebook provides with many great options. We already discussed this. Mississauga Housing, Brandon Housing are great options to look at on Facebook. Then there's Kijiji. Kijiji allows individuals to post custom ads under rental section. Landlord, people looking for potential roommate, and individuals looking for housing is a great place to go is Kijiji. You will find though that on Kijiji, some people can be very, very, very specific to the types of people they are willing to rent to. You do have to take into account that this is actually discrimination. It's illegal when you are trying to rent a room. So if you did see a room that was perfect and then somebody was like, oh, well, I'm only renting to a Punjabi girl who works in finance. You can actually take that to the landlord and tenant board and be like, I have the means to pay. I want to live here, and they are being discriminatory. Again, that's up to you because I know for me personally, if somebody's saying they don't want me to live in their house, I feel like they may make it a bit uncomfortable and I would rather not live there. However, just know your rights and know that is illegal. Okay, another great way to find a place to rent is through word of mouth. So, with word of mouth, of course, I think it's one of the best ways if you have some great people in your life who may know somebody who is renting, or they can ask friends. They may even have a unit for you available themselves, like a basement or apartment, or they may know someone who has a condo. So, word of mouth, let people that are close to you know, hey, I'm looking for a place to rent. That way they can also help you look, right? Like even if they're like on Facebook, they can keep an eye out or they can tell friends. Community centers is a great place. Churches, student centers, bulletin boards. Just keep a lookout because a lot of places like that, like churches, student centers, I know most of them are closed right now because of COVID, but they do sometimes have a bulletin board where they will post things like, oh, looking for roommates, looking for this, looking for that. And then here we have the websites that are good to use for looking for rent listed again. So we have rentals.ca, zumper.com, rentfaster.com, roomies.ca, and then Airbnb for short-term rentals. Okay, so as I was saying previously, a landlord cannot refuse to rent to you due to discrimination. Right here, I have a list of reasons a landlord cannot refuse to rent to you. So, a landlord cannot refuse to rent to you based on your race, your religion, your ethnic origin, your sex, your age, your sexual orientation, or marital status, your family status, whether you're single, pregnant, or have children, your mental health, or your disabilities. None of this is allowed for discrimination. If this does happen, you need to reach out to the landlord and tenant board. We need to start reporting these landlords. So many landlords get away with it, especially with the Kijiji posts. They're so blatantly racist or so blatantly discriminatory. However, they're able to get away with it because nobody wants to report them. Nobody feels like going through that. Even me, I've been in a few situations where it's like they didn't want me because I was female. They didn't want me because I was young. They didn't want me once because I had a boyfriend. So there's different reasons why people will discriminate against towards you. You need to just take that step and report them. So the more we report, the less we will see this happening in our community. So right here, we have the landlord and tenant board and their phone number posted. The 416 number is for like Toronto, GTA. So I would call the 416 number. You can also call the 1-800 number, but they will eventually send you to that 416 number anyways. They do have a bit of a wait on their line sometimes, but honestly, I think it's worth the wait. Get that report in there. Even if you aren't sure if like you have reasonable grounds to report them, you can always just call them and ask questions. They're also knowledgeable about rules with renting and all of that. So you can call them for questions as well. Also, we're going to have a workshop uploaded on our YouTube page, which is called Know Your Tenant Rights. With our Know Your Tenant Rights workshop, we go more in depth of the rights you do have as a tenant. Okay, now we are going to go into REST and how we as an organization can help you. So the first program I'm going to discuss is the Bridge of Hope program. So the Bridge of Hope program is a host home program. So members of the community provide living space to youth in need of immediate housing. So the goal of this program is to prevent youth homelessness by offering an alternative to an emergency shelter. So if an emergency shelter is not for you or there's no availability, the Bridge of Hope program is a great alternative for you. We assist youth who are 17 to 24, and we help them find a landlord within the community. If you are interested in this, however, you must agree to work with a case support manager. The case support manager is amazing. What she does is she's just going to pretty much help you manage your goals with housing, set goals, check in, see if you're looking for employment, school, just kind of give you that assistance with life. And also for our landlords, we do interview and screen potential landlords just to make sure that they would work well with you as a person and with youth in general. With the Bridge of Hope program, we also have subsidy, so rental subsidy. So it does, the amount and the time that you get rental subsidy does differ case to case. On average, it's usually about $200 a month for about 6 months. So that's a great addition to help anyone out. Even like I wish I could have $200 off my rent for 6 months. Like that's amazing. So definitely try to take advantage of these opportunities because they are there for you. The next one we have is the Bare Necessities program. So the Bare Necessities program provides youth with bi-weekly groceries or a gift card to purchase groceries. So every 2 weeks on Thursday, we do have Una, one of our lovely staff members, who delivers groceries out to our youth. So with the Bare Necessities program, you can get a $50 gift card every 2 weeks, and then you can go to any grocery store the gift card is for and then just buy your groceries. Or you can have us purchase groceries for you of up to $50, and then we would deliver that to you. We also provide youth who are in new rentals or you just moved out with home starter kits. So with your home starter kit, we might include something like bed sheets or shower curtains, just maybe utensils, just anything you may need to start your life on your own. So this is also available for youth who are 17 to 24. Last but not least, we have our newest program, and this is the program I actually work for. So this program is called Black Youth Matter Peel. This is a support line for Black youth ages 13 to 24 who are homeless or at risk of homelessness within Peel region. So with this program, what we do is you would call the support line. The phone number is right over here. So 905-863-1118. You'd call the support line and then you would kind of just let us know what you need. Do you need help with housing? Did you want to just chat, check in? Because we do know with COVID, like there's a lot of isolation. So sometimes people may just want to talk. So if you just wanted to talk to us, if you needed referrals to counseling, if you needed any form of service with us, just call our Black Youth Support Line and we've got you. We'll figure out what you need and we'll help you out from there. We'll also do check-ins with you if that's what you desire, and we can actively check in with you to see how you are doing. If you have any Black youth that you know who you think this support line would benefit, you can also refer them directly to us. You just need to get that youth's consent, and then we would give them a call and check in and see how they're doing. So we also assist Black youth with goal setting, planning, and refer them to community resources. Referrals can include shelters, food banks, mental health counseling, employment opportunities. So again, if you're a Black youth at risk of homelessness, this is the number you call, 905-863-1118. Now, at the end, we would have a question period. This is a recording of the actual presentation, so I do not have the questions that everyone did ask in the presentation here. However, if you did have any questions, feel free to comment them on the video. We will be monitoring our YouTube page and we can answer questions there. You can also give us a call again at our support line. Phone number again is 905-863-1118. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and joining us today. It's been a pleasure. Have a wonderful day.